Hello all, see you again in our 2021's movie collection, No Time to Die. Okay, before we start the story of this movie, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss the updates from our channel. A man named Lucifer Safin kills Madeline's mom as revenge for her father, Mr. White, who killed Safin's family. Madeline shoots Safin, but he survives. When Madeline runs from Safin, she falls into an icy river. Safin should have killed her, but he didn't. Instead, he saved her. Years after that, Madeline, who's already grown up, goes together with James Bond to visit Vesper Lynd's tomb. When James leaves Madeline at the hotel and goes to Lynd's tomb, a group of people from Spectre ambush him. James takes down one of them. He says that Madeline is their spy, and this makes him suspicious of her. He then takes Madeline with him while running from Spectre's people. While in the car, Madeline's phone rings. The speaker is Spectre's person, congratulating Madeline for her success in disclosing James' whereabouts to them. Even if Madeline denies everything, James still doesn't believe her. They then separate and break up because of this. 5 years later, Spectre comes for Heracles, a bioweapon from a lab. They kill all people there after getting the weapon, except for a scientist named Valdo Obrachev. Right before the attack happened, Obrachev receives a call from Safin. He warns Obrachev about Spectre's attack and reminds him to keep the files safe by swallowing the flash drive. Spectre successfully robs the lab and takes Obrachev with him. M007's boss has been notified about the incident. He keeps the news from the Prime Minister and contacts 007 to take care of the job. James Bond, who's retiring from his job, gets a visit from a CIA agent named Felix and also Logan Ash from the State of Ministry. They want Bond to work for them to get Obrachev back from Spectre. Bond isn't interested in the job and leaves them. When Bond wants to get back to his house, his car is broken. A woman on a scooter offers a ride to him and he agrees. At his house, the woman says that she is the new 007 agent, her name is Nomi. She wants Bond to stay away from Obrachev's case. She also gives Bond a cell phone to contact M. Bond then calls M and asks him about Obrachev. M then gets notified by his hacker about the files Obrachev saved before going with Spectre. They still try to figure out what file was that. They also keep monitoring Ernst Stavro Blofeld, an enemy that Bond has caught before. After that, Bond calls Felix back and says that he takes the CIA's job to find Obrachev. Bond is at Santiago de Cuba, where Obrachev's last contact was found. He works with a new agent named Paloma. They go to a party held by Spectre. In the other part of the party, Obrachev is coding the DNA to be used in the bioweapon that's going to be spread in the party hall. Heracles is a bioweapon where you can target people who have similarities with the DNA code in the virus. This makes the virus dangerous for the families of DNA owners as they have similar DNA. At the party, Bond and Paloma spies on Spectre's communication line. They then find where Obrachev is. When they are going to get him, in the communication line, the speaker calls Bond's name. Then the virus is spread. Bond thought that it would kill him but it didn't. Instead, all Spectre's people die because of it. Obrachev feels happy with the success. But before he can keep his happiness, Bond and Paloma try to get him. In the middle of the fight, Nomi catches Dr. Obrachev and leaves the party hall. Paloma and Bond catch up with her and get Dr. Obrachev back. Bond then separates with Paloma and he takes Obrachev to a safe place on a plane. Bond then meets with Ash and Felix. Bond asks about the bioweapon and from that he knows that at first the virus is used to kill Bond, but Obrachev hijacked it and instead it kills Spectre's people. Bond then gets suspicious about how Blofeld knows that he's going to be there and they all see Ash at the same time. Ash and Obrachev are both on Safin's side. In the fight, Felix is shot and Bond together with him are trapped in the bunker. Ash then blows the bunker up and leaves the ship with Obrachev on Bond's plane. Felix's condition doesn't look too good, but Bond tries hard to save him. Unfortunately, he still doesn't make it. Bond then leaves Felix's body there and tries to save his life. He then gets into a saving boat while holding on to the cigar that should be given to Felix. After getting saved, Bond meets M. He tries to get M to send him to Belmarsh. He believes that Blofeld gets access outside which makes him able to control Spectre's meeting from Belmarsh. M doesn't give him what he wants. Instead, he tells Bond to leave the headquarters and gets Nomi to Belmarsh and find out who's Blofeld intel. Moneypenny stops Bond right before he goes. She takes him to Q's place. Bond gives him Obrachev's flash drive. Q finds the data that Obrachev saved from the lab about thousands of people's DNA there. Bond needs to know Obrachev's purpose, and for that, he needs to meet Blofeld. Moneypenny says that the contact to Blofeld is shut down, except for one person. Madeline is at her office, meeting with a new patient. That patient is Safin. He wants Madeline to meet a person and use something that is harmless to her. He also threatens her with Bond's life. At the time, Bond is meeting admits that the bioweapon should be for saving lives. But now it's in the wrong hands. Bond then shares his secret about Obrachev's next target. The DNA contains Blofeld's DNA and thousands of other people. Also opens up that Blofeld communicates with his men through a bionic eye that they have retrieved. This truce has made them be able to work together again with the same objective. In M's office, Nomi, Q, Bond, and Moneypenny talk about recent information about Heracles. Nomi found that in Spectre members' funerals, people with certain similar DNA are falling one another after contact with a deceased. M informs them that Heracles should be used just to target one certain person, so that it will not harm others. But Obrachev has transformed it into a weapon to attack people with similar DNA traits. This should have been the secret weapon made by MI6. But now that it has fallen to the wrong hands, M has to inform the Prime Minister. M tells Q to find information from the bionic eye, while Bond gets his wish to meet with Blofeld and get some information about Obrachev. While Nomi gets information from Bond about Logan Ash, who takes Obrachev away to find his hiding place. On the other hand, Madeline, who's going to meet with Blofeld, uses the spray that Safin orders her to use. Together with Bond, she meets with Blofeld. Knowing that there's something suspicious with the spray, Madeline is shaking and nervous to keep going. When she's asking to leave the place, Bond holds her wrist to ask where she's going, and she says that she's going home. She leaves the jail, and only Bond meets with Blofeld. As Bond is still talking with Blofeld, Q calls Nomi to tell her that he finds Logan Ash. So Nomi leaves the place to look for Logan Ash. Blofeld then tells Bond that the name he wants to know is with Madeline, not him. The incident in the tomb is all his doing, and Madeline is just a victim. This makes Bond angry, and he strangles Blofeld with the same hand that holds Madeline's wrist previously. Tanner gets inside the interrogation room and has an argument with Bond. They then find that Blofeld just died. Back at Q's place, Bond gets his fingerprint checked. He wants to get rid of Heracles from his hand, but sadly it's impossible. Bond asks Moneypenny about Madeline, and she tells him that Madeline's gone. Bond goes to a house that Madeline says is home to her when they are together. There he meets with a girl. At first, he thought the girl is his daughter, but Madeline says that she's not. She then tells Bond about Safin and her relationship with him. Bond then informs Q about his finding and asks for a plane to be sent to his recent location. In the morning, Bond's information gets them to find an island between Japan and Russia that Safin might be at. Nomi's position in trailing Logan Ash was also sent to Bond. Here, Bond finds out that Ash is in the same location as him and Madeline. Bond then leaves the house with Madeline and the kid, Mathild. When they leave the house, two cars are passing by them. They thought they were free from them, but they were wrong. The cars turn around and chase them up. After Bond takes care of those two cars, a helicopter is following them with several cars and motorcycles. They get in a foggy forest to get out from their chasing. They leave their car and go on foot. A motorcycle suddenly appears, but Madeline shoots the rider. Bond leaves them in a hut and goes alone to fight those people. He kills some people, and also Logan Ash. Then he hears a gunshot from the direction of the hut. When he goes there, Madeline and Mathild are gone. He tries to get them back, but they have brought them in a helicopter. Bond then leaves the place on foot. Nomi then appears and gets him in her car. They are going to get on a plane to the island where Safin is. In the plane, Nomi asks permission to get Bond into his former position as Agent 007, and M agrees. Q then gives his weapons as 007 back to him. In the lab of the island, Safin asks for something from Obrachev. When Madeline asks him, he says that it contains Heracles with her DNA. This will be able to kill her and her daughter. He also opens a secret that the kid is actually Bond's daughter, but Madeline chooses not to tell Bond about the truth. Safin then brings them to the poison garden. He separates Madeline and Mathild there. Bond and Nomi get into Stealth Bird and they get into the sea to be out of radar. When they get inside the building, Bond uses the watch that Q gives to him to turn off the cameras. Nomi then uses a tool to map the surroundings. Q then uses this to lead them through the way. Q then finds something and tries to notify Bond, yet their communication line is lost. They get into the lab and find out that it's full of heracles. Safin plans to let the virus out to kill millions of people. They then subdue the people in the lab and plant bombs there. Suddenly, there's Safin's voice from speakers in the lab. He says that he has someone important for Bond and he has to take it from Safin. So Bond goes to where Safin is after telling Nomi to blow up the place if he is not back. Nomi whispers that they don't have enough explosives to blow up the place, but Bond makes it appear as they do. Madeline says that this drink will make someone lose sight, and she splashes it to the guard's face and leaves the place and locks it. At the time, Bond meets with Safin, who holds his daughter. He threatens Bond with his daughter's lives, and Bond surrenders. But under this disguise, he takes a hidden gun and shoots Safin's guard. Before Bond can get to him, Safin goes into a secret way with Mathild. Safin tries to go with Mathild under the protection of his men. Mathild, who lost her doll, bites Safin's hand. Safin gets angry and leaves Mathild there. There are people who want to buy the bioweapon in his hand, and they're going to meet at the sea. Q at the plane detects these ships coming to the island. Yet, with no sign from Bond, they cannot execute the plan. Nomi at the lab is also anxious since Bond hasn't gotten back there. She then leaves the lab with Dr. Obrachev as a hostage. She then gets enough of Dr. Obrachev's rants and kicks him down into a pool of acid. Bond and Madeline, who try to look for a way to the base floor, suddenly hear Mathild's voice. She hides under the table and gets out when she knows that Madeline is there. Bond then tries to bring them both out and give them to Nomi. He gets back inside to take care of Safin. Bond has informed M about heracles on the island. He asks for a missile to blow up the place. Bond has to turn off the protection of the place so that the missile won't be bounced back after the launch. Bond has found the control room and opens up the protection. He gives the sign to Q to launch the missiles, which is then confirmed by M as missiles launched, and Bond's going to leave the place. Suddenly the protection is closing again. Bond rushes to the control room again. But then Safin tries to stop him. As they fight with each other, Safin breaks the tube which contains heracles with Madeline's DNA. This makes them both unable to get close to Madeline and Mathild, even if they can get out of that place alive. Bond shoots Safin dead and gets in the control room to keep the silo open. Bond then asks about Madeline and Mathild's conditions, and Q says they're safe. He asks about how to get rid of heracles after it gets in the body, but Q says it's impossible. Bond then closes the control room's door and chooses not to leave the island. He then gets to the top of the building and tells Q to connect him with Madeline. James and Madeline say goodbye. Madeline also tells Bond that Mathild has his eyes. The missiles then explode while Bond is still in the building. Long after that, M and his crew gather in an office to remember Bond. Madeline and Mathild drive in a car and she tells her daughter a story about James Bond. And that is the end of No Time to Die movie. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on the notification bell to keep the updates from our channel. See you in the other movie story and bye.